Okay, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Online Presenters, both Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Welcome to Online Presenters. As you may know, we're a virtual advanced Toastmasters Club, and we like to accelerate communication, leadership, and presentation skills. If we've never met, I'm your Sergeant at Arms, Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny. And tonight's theme, as you may have heard, is National Best Friends Day. Friendships enrich our lives, encourage our growth, and remind us that we are not alone in our journey. To our guests, we are delighted you're here this evening. Membership in Online Presenters is open to current and former members who have completed at least 6 speeches. However, if you have some extra experience, and although you're not a Toastmaster, you can demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. And we are a global club. We've got members and guests from many countries around the world. Please be mindful of your language and cultural sensitivity as we support one another's growth as communicators and leaders. A couple of housekeeping reminders. This meeting is being recorded. If you prefer not to be included, please check the chat for opt-out instructions. And kindly mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Whether you're joining us from across town or across the globe, thank you for spending part of your evening with us, or morning. And now, please help me welcome to the virtual stage our club president, Joni Laidlaw. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you, Sunny. It is a very special meeting for us today because we have so many guests. I'm not sure I've ever been at an online presenters meeting and seen so many guests present before. Excellent, excellent, excellent job from our Vice President of Membership in that regard. With that said, guests, I'm going to ask that you stick around until the end of our meeting because usually we ask for guest comments, and unless you see what we have to offer, there's no way for you to comment, right? So we hope that you make it all the way to the end and that you're willing to share your feedback with us at the end of the meeting. It is June, the last month in the Toastmasters year. We're actually one member away from being the highest designation in Toastmasters. In addition, next week we are having a webinar contest. Now I hear everybody saying, what's a webinar contest? David Carr will actually explain that to everyone later on as it relates to how to go about joining. That will also be at the end of the meeting. And we're going to have a tipathon now. Since all our guests are here, I'm happy to explain what a tipathon is. We're online. There's so much stuff to do, but everything requires a button, a click, and a press, right? But everything always moves. It was there last week. It's not there this week. Well, the tipathon is going to be tips practically about the online space. It could be others. I mean, we actually had one on mental health, which actually worked out to be an entire educational session from just that one tip. So come back on the 29th. You'll be amazed at what we have to offer with tips and tricks to make your online presence taken to another level. Now, today, our Sergeant at Arms, who you've already met, will be taking us through on our journey for a very unusual topic about best friends. Empathy is something that we all need to work on and share. And we already heard, for those of us who came early, what some people are looking for as a best friend. But here we go as our Sergeant at Arms, Dr. Sunny Fridge takes us through as a Toastmaster of the day. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And fellow Toastmasters, again, distinguished guests, as you now know, today is National Best Friends Day, a day that celebrates the people who encourage us. So now it is time to meet some of our functionaries, but I almost forgot to say it again. Best friends, different people, real connection. Thank you for being you. Just be thinking of some ways that friendship has touched your life. And in many ways, Toastmasters is built on friendship because we grow and fellow members who believe in us, offer us constructive feedback, and they help us become better communicators and leaders. And I'm going to introduce you to some of them, our functionaries. First, timing is of the utmost important in a Toastmasters meeting. So please help me welcome MJ Bush. She will explain her role. MJ, welcome. Welcome to the virtual stage. MJ?
There we go. Hi, yes, I'll be timing the table topics and the evaluations and the speeches, and I will keep track of everyone's time. And when you, for example, on the speech, the main speeches, when you get to 5 minutes, I will put on a green background like this. And when you get to 6 minutes, I will put on the yellow background. And then when you get to 7 minutes, I will put on the red background. And then I'll time it similarly for, the table topics, which will be 1 to 2 minutes, and evaluations should be 2 to 3 minutes.
Exactly. Great. Great. Well, we are looking forward to it. Thank you so much for explaining it. And we, or at least I, love your background. How creative. Next, we have our odd counter. Jace, please join us on the virtual stage to share how your role will go. Jace, welcome. And if Jace is not here, basically, we will try a little bit to take your uhs and ums, and if you have more than 4 or 5, we'll let you know. We'll be honest, okay? Because that's how some Toastmaster friends are. Moving on, we have a grammarian, Carrie Kong. Carrie, please explain your role.
Can you hear me?
And she's here.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So for grammarian, I'll be watching out your grammar. That's why I'll be listening to your grammar and see whether your grammar will be up to standard. If there is grammar for correction, nice phrases, sentences that you've been using for today. And just to remember, the word of the day is empathy. Empathy, or you can use empathetic, which is an adjective form. It's an ability to understand, share, and experience another person's feelings. So I'm being empathetic, and everyone is being empathetic. This is a good word, and try to use as much as possible for the word of the day. Back to you, Dr. Sunny.
Awesome. Thank you so much for giving us that information. I love when people show me empathy. Next, let's see, we have someone who is watching us. Sherry Blake, please share your role.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I will be simple as that, watching everyone, just watching what you're doing, seeing if you're paying attention, if you're giving us eye contact, looking at your backgrounds, and will report back to you at the end of the meeting. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, we need to be watching today. And someone who we always watch because he is chatty at times, our chat monitor, Jim Barber, is in the room. Jim, please explain your unique role.
With pleasure, Madam Toastmaster. Excuse me. As the chat monitor this evening, I will be, hang on, this is kind of difficult to follow, monitoring the chat. What I'm going to be doing is paying special attention to whatever shows up in the chat and notifying our Toastmaster if there's anything there that she needs to be aware of that she might have missed in the general goings on. The only thing that's been happening so far, though, has not been involved the Toastmaster. Allie was banned from our meeting for some reason. She is back now and delighted to have her back. I empathize. I wanted to get it in. I empathize with your position, but I'm happy that you're back now, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Allie, do you have a role?
Your
You
mic's
are
not
muted.
working, Ali.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, thanks for having empathy on me because this is the challenge of technology. I do not have a role assigned to me yet.
I didn't know if you might take the eye counter if you have time.
Sure, I'll take the eye counter. That's the easiest role in this club.
You think so? Okay. Well, I'll give you
And
a couple of start. And you know. So
uh,
thank you. So, and as an eye counter, real quick, what do you do?
I listen for those pesky filler words. Well, those words that we fill in the gaps that could easily be prevented with a simple pause. I'll be taking note of all the speakers, and when called upon by the GE, I will give the account of my tallies. Thank you for having empathy on me this evening.
Awesome. Yes, empathy is a good thing, especially on National Best Friends Day. Thank you, Allie, for doing that on the spot. And finally, last but not least, we have a vote counter in the house. Where is he? Let's see, David. I spy David Carr.
Am I the vote counter today? Okay.
Oh, maybe
No,
I just thought you were. Okay.
I believe that I am Dr. Sunny.
Well, wonderful, Annie.
I think
Let's
so.
have it. Share.
Are you fine if I do it, David? I'll give it a go.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to count the votes via a very amazing techie tool that David has produced. So I am practicing doing that, and hopefully I will get it right so we can see on the day whose people are voting for as the best speaker, the best evaluator, and the best table topic. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your role. And before we begin with our first part of the meeting, the official part, prepared speakers, we want to hear some tips. That, my friends, is where David Carr comes in. I knew he had a role. David, what are you going to share with us today?
I wanted to share a little bit about how you can get your picture on our agenda and various other places that it might be good for your photo to show up. So, apologies, let me X a few things out here. I'm on the agenda for next week's webinar contest, which we briefly mentioned. We do a special contest format. It is an unofficial, is not as an official Toastmasters contest format, but we're doing it next week. And one thing you'll notice is that some of the participants have their pictures in here and some of them don't. So I'm actually pretending to be Carl Walsh, a member of this club who's not here tonight. I am impersonating him. This is what he would see on the back end. Again, he would see his name in the upper left-hand corner. If he goes over to our members page also, there's a place for people's photos to show up. And if I search for Carl, we should see that he has no fancy photo. So for purposes of demo, I went over to his LinkedIn profile and I stole this. Did you know that you could do this? If you click on the person's photo, you can do save image and save it to your computer. I actually did that earlier. So from here, on this page, the members list page of our website, there is a link to edit your profile picture. Also, if I go up into the upper right-hand corner, there is something here that says change profile photo. I click there, and it's going to take me to my member profile, specifically the section where I can upload my avatar, my profile picture. And so I will pick the Carl Walsh picture and save that. And then Carl should start showing up everywhere that Carl should be showing up. So let's see. Let's go back to the members page. Let's find Carl, and I don't think he's going to sue me for this because that is his LinkedIn profile. It's a professional profile picture. Now, your profile also does give you room to put in your LinkedIn address, your other social media, your business website address. So other ways that people can connect with you. There are some options here. Also, if you go to Toastmasters profile options, you can choose what you want to make public, whether you want it to be public to the world or just to other members. You can make all those choices here. So this is one of the hidden little features of our website. A bunch of things on our club website are custom. A bunch of them are standard WordPress, sometimes with a few Dave's little tweaks here and there. But at any rate, put in your photo so that we can show you in all your glory. And it does also help the Toastmaster of the day. It helps other people match up pictures, faces with names, which can be a challenge as the club grows and as our members change over time. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, David, for the great tips. And I know there are a few members in this room who will be able to take advantage of it, and especially also future guests who become members. Right now, we are going to begin with our first speaker. It is Dr. Andrew Byrne, and he is going to share his 5 to 7 minute speech, and he's going to also tell us the title of his speech. Welcome, Andrew Byrne, to the virtual stage.
You're muted, Andy.
We're so attuned to turning off our audio in between our speaking. Any event, I'm doing Dynamic Leadership Level 2 Introduction to Mentoring. And some people may say, what is mentoring? Who has been mentored? And if you ask that question, the answer becomes very simple. From the time that you were born, you had the power of observation. And through observation, you saw how your parents interacted with you. You saw how other people interacted with you. That was a form of mentorship. In fact, if you go all the way up to 2026 and ask the question, how are they preparing the robots to take over the world? The way they're doing that is through mentorship. They're watching the robots watch people do things as a way of learning. So the robots are being mentored by us to take us over and provide the extinction event. But I want to share a few terms with you. And the terms include mentoring and coaching. Those two are very often confused. Who knows the difference between a mentor and a coach? Carrie, I see your hand up, just going through your hair, but what's the difference between a mentor and a coach?
I guess like mentoring is like you give like personal advice or professional advice and give more typical guidance. But like coaching is just teaching some skill sets, doesn't necessarily go into the life directions or certain directions in achieving some outcomes. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, the issue between coaching and mentoring has to do with a number of different things. First, mentoring has long-term goals. It more involves life events and where you're going. It involves personal involvement. It involves general feedback. Whereas coaching, and it's longer time. So time is one element of it. When you go to coaching, coaching is normally short-term. It involves tasks and skills, and there's a lot of question and answer kind of activity. In Toastmasters, we are, and get this wording, we are a peer-related training by experience, or an experiential training by peers. Those are the three words: experiential training by peers. And that means that we learn by doing. And mentoring in Toastmasters can be bidirectional. So when I first started in Toastmasters, I didn't know what the Toastmasters structure was or how it functioned. And I was assigned a mentor, and they helped explain what the Toastmasters structure was and function so that I could understand and be comfortable in that line of work. But understand that as I started to grow and learn other things and took on other roles, I would look for other mentors, people that had done what I wanted to be learning to do. So as I moved from a club member to a club officer, my mentor changed. When I moved from club officer to area director, my mentor changed. When I moved from area director to division director, my mentor changed. And when I moved from division director to club growth director and part of the trio, my mentor changed. What I'm trying to give you an idea about is that mentoring is not a static process. It's not a fixed process. It's an evolving, dynamic, and fluid process. Mentorship deals with peer education in an experiential way in Toastmasters, where you seek out people that have done what you want to do and are good at it so that you can learn from the best. And that's what we try to do in our mentoring program. And of course, that's different from coaching. Now, if you wanted to go out into the quote real world and say, what are some examples of coaching and mentoring? And you say, okay, let me go to the one area that we have a lot of exposure to, and that's cinema. If one asks the question, tell me the best 10 movies that demonstrate the mentoring aspect, who would identify what movies? Johnny, do you have a favorite movie that follows the mentoring protege theme? I'll give you an example. The Karate Kid. Everyone saw the 3 or 4 different Karate Kid movies. You had Daniel LaRusso wanting to learn how to do karate, didn't know how to do it. And you had Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi knew karate, and he knew kung fu, and he knew all that stuff. And so Daniel wanted to learn those skills, and he had a relationship that was long term, 4 movies worth, with Miyagi to learn those skills. When we talk about other movies that have that mentoring relationship, we might think of things like Top Gun, Creed, Million Dollar Baby, Training Day as examples. Good Will Hunting between Robin Williams and the character Will. So there are a lot of different things. The Sense of a Woman also comes to mind. So there are lots of movies that focus in on the mentoring relationship. But if you ask ChatGPT or any of the other AIs, what are the movies that fit that criteria and that structure? You might be surprised to find out that Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, and Obi-Wan does not meet the cinematographic definition of a relationship of mentorship, because Luke goes on and Obi-Wan dies very early in the movie. And so he doesn't provide continued mentorship long-term. Mentorship is a long-term relationship. I want to leave those things with you so you can think about who in this club can mentor you in what you want to learn. Do you want to learn the kinds of things David has to teach in terms of technology, or Sunny, or some of the other things? You want to learn ventriloquism, and you turn to Annie and say, could you have a friend of Susie's that I can learn on? Think about it. Mentoring in Toastmasters is a peer exponential activity. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Andy, for sharing. And I did see that most recent movie with the Karate Kid. Boy, he grew up fast. Okay. One of the benefits when it comes to best friends, or maybe even mentors, is that they help us see things from a different perspective. I don't know for sure, but tonight our second speaker may do exactly that. He's going to examine an important issue that affects a popular vacation industry. In this non-pathway speech, Graham Cairns will be looking at the downside of the cruise ship industry and whether some industry practices are sustainable. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage Graham Cairns doing a 5 to 7 minute speech on cruising's dirty little secret. Again, Graham Cairns and cruising's dirty little secret.
Toastmaster Sonny, thank you for that introduction. Before I begin and before the timing begins, as VP Ed, one of the things that I keep stressing is that Toastmasters should not give speeches outside the Pathways Education Program. Every speech can be fitted into somewhere in the Pathways Education Program. This specific speech, our website doesn't yet recognize the introduction of the latest path, which is the classic path, which is effectively the old competent communicator manual. It's given a new facelift, but effectively it's the old competent communicator manual. That's where this speech is from. It is the get to the point speech. So there you go. All right. On that note, I will now start. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm willing to bet that many of us here have either been on a cruise or are at least considering going on a cruise. And the question I have to ask you is, why wouldn't you? I mean, this is a holiday where you only have to unpack once, where every day you wake up in an exotic locale or you're sailing across the ocean. It's a holiday where each evening you are offered entertainment worthy of a good licensed venue or casino where it's possible to eat fine dining or eat avant-garde, eat buffet style or be butler served. This is a holiday where there are multiple swimming pools and educational lectures and a steward who makes your bed and turns it down at night and even sometimes places a chocolate on your pillow, although there's only one cruise line that still does that. This is a holiday where all of this is included in the price, a price that can be as little as $50 a day, all included. Why wouldn't you take that sort of holiday? I mean, how can they do it for the price? And there's the rub, ladies and gentlemen. How can they do it for the price? The answer to that is cruising's dirty little secret. I need to step aside here for a moment to stick my hand up and say, mea culpa, mea culpa. I have, as many of you know, spent much of the last decade sailing perhaps twice a year on cruise ships, delivering lectures, mostly lectures on things of history or geography. Entertaining lectures, or at least I hope they're entertaining, and I've been having a wonderful time doing it. But one of the things as a consultant on board a cruise ship, because I'm not an employee under those circumstances, but one of the things as a consultant on a cruise ship is that I get to see the behind the scenes that most passengers do not. And one of those things that I see is, as I say, cruising's dirty little secret. That is the wages which are paid by cruise lines to their crew. They are appalling by Western standards. In fact, given the hours that cruise line crews work, and 16 hours a day is not unusual, then when you do their wages, it comes down to about $1.50 an hour. And that's not uncommon because those crews are working incredibly long hours. 16 hours a day, as I say, is standard. A steward, for example, doesn't get an uninterrupted 8-hour break. They might work for 8 hours, take a couple of hours off in the middle of the day to try and catch a nap, then work 8 hours a day doing the rooms again, and then they get perhaps 6 hours sleep at night. So they're incredibly long hours, and as I say, as little as $1.50 an hour. Of course, that works out to about $200 a week, which does go a long way when your food and your accommodation are included. And so many crew members do get to send home a tidy sum by third world standards, especially if they're in customer-facing roles. Wait staff and stewards, they get regular tips from the customers, from the cruisers, from the passengers. Those who are working down in the engine don't get those tips. They get a tip, but they don't get the $50 or the $100 or the $200 that passengers often leave for their room steward at the end of a cruise. And from their wages, They're expected to pay for transportation to the ship from their home country. Sometimes they have to pay to go home again afterwards. They have to pay their visa costs. They have to pay medical insurance. They have to pay lots of things, including they have to pay for internet so that they can try and keep in contact with their family at home. That's part of how the cruise lines manage to keep costs down, by being registered in countries like Panama, where they don't have to live with Western wage structures. They are able to keep wage costs well down. Another way that cruise lines keep costs down is the use of bunker fuel for engines. Now, bunker fuel is this thick, black, highly polluting fuel that has 4,000 times the sulfur of automobile fuel. Its use is banned in Europe, but elsewhere in the world, it's pretty much open slather. Now, there are some solutions to this. There are scrubbers, for example, that effectively clean the air pollution. There are environmental systems that reduce waste and dumping at sea. And if you ever get a chance on a cruise to do a behind-the-scenes tour, one of the things that you really should look at is their environmental systems, because it is fascinating the amount of work that a cruise line will go to try to keep things as clean as they can, because they don't want friends of the earth coming at them. But all of those things come at a cost. Some cruise lines have decided to wear that cost. I know that Dr. Andy here is a fan of Disney Cruise Lines, has done a couple of Disney Cruise Lines that he's spoken about. And I have to say that Disney have got an A from Friends of the Earth for their environmental controls. I went, as I say, once through a behind-the-scenes tour of the Ovation class of ships from Royal Caribbean, and it was truly extraordinary, the amount of effort that they go to. Ships sailing to and from Australia have also dropped the compulsory tipping that is typical in North American waters. I mean, Aussies and Brits, by the way, hate tipping. It is simply not part of our culture, and we hate to have to tip. We will tip, but we hate to have to. But cruise lines have here decided to increase fares and increase pay rates, partly to compensate for the loss of tips. So it is possible to adapt, to change to a more ethically sound basis for the cruise industry. But in the end, it comes down to us, the vacationing public. Unless we pressure cruise lines to change, unless we're willing to pony up some extra cash when we go on our vacations, then ethical issues like this are going to remain. They're bobbing around like icebergs. And sooner or later, the cruise industry is going to go crashing into one of them. COVID saw what can happen when that does. There was from 30 million passengers to 5 million in a single year. If the industry doesn't make some changes, it could face an iceberg like that coming on. And as somebody who loves cruising, as somebody who genuinely feels a little conflicted when I see how the staff are treated, I want that day to come much faster. Toastmaster.
Wow, thank you, Graham, so much for getting to the point and exposing, or at least enlightening us about cruising's dirty little secret. That said, I really do want to go on another cruise, so I'm going to have to talk to you to see some of your suggestions. Thank you again to Andy and Graham. Timer MJ, how did our speakers do on time?
They were amazing. Dr. Andy Byrne timed in at 7 minutes, 1 second, and Graham Cairns timed in at 6 minutes, 59 seconds.
Awesome. So that means that they are able to be in the voting. So I'm sure our vote counter is going to put that information, a link in the chat. A guest, you can also vote on who you thought was today's best speaker. And speaking of best, National Best Friends Day reminds us that communities grow one relationship at a time. Online Presenters continues to grow because communicators from around the world find a place where they can learn, contribute, and belong. And one of those ways we do that is by testing our listening, our thinking on our feet skills, that is. And nothing develops spontaneous communication quite like table topics. Please help me welcome one of our newest members, our topics master, John Christensen. Welcome.
Had that file open. 1 second, please.
Okay.
I got sidetracked.
All right.
Ding.
And while John's making sure he has it together, I'll just talk one more thing. Earlier today, I showed my best friends. I think this is it. Um, these are doggies, and I love them. And I showed earlier that these are my babies, Missy and let me see if I can get this right. Missy and Maxie. You can kind of see them there. And yeah, they were amazing border collie chows, and I love them. And for 15 years, they gave me such joy, and they love their mommy. I love them. And of course, we could not forget about people like Zaz, who also has a great mama. And this is not Zaz, but probably Allie will show us that later. But I wanted to do both cats and dogs because we pet parents. We love our animals. Okay. How are you doing now, John?
I am ready. Sorry. When you
You
mentioned
are
best friends,
ready.
my dog just shows up and he got jealous. All right.
Oh,
So I
what's
don't
his
need to.
name? What's
His
his
name
name?
is Louis. He had 15
Louis.
teeth removed a couple weeks ago.
Wow. Okay. Well, you'll have to put a picture up before it's all over. We already kidded a little bit that we're going to bring our pets one day. Well, they said cats. Okay. They're going to all bring their
Hey,
cats. I'll
cats are
have to,
people too. Cats have
yeah, I'll have to borrow
co-personalities.
one.
I'm a
Well,
both
okay.
person, but I only have a dog right now. All
Awesome.
right.
Well, right now you're going to pause a moment and give us some uh, challenges on thinking on our feet. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. For table topics, just need to speak a minimum of 1 minute. Try to use the word of the day. I'm going to ask some questions. And my first runner-up is Mr. Jaya. Might I pronounce that wrong? Jayava?
Yeah,
Javalia?
okay. I can help you with that.
Okay.
My Tamil name is Jaya Vallarasu M. Vasudev. It is actually a lengthy name. Jaya Vallarasu M. Vasudev. Jaya Vallarasu M. Vasudev, but you can call me J or Jays.
Thank you, Jay. I didn't know you spoke Tamil.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Your
Thank
question
you.
is, describe a time when you had to be a better listener, a good listener for a friend. And this is where I struggle. Tell me about a time where you had to be a good listener or a better listener for a friend. It's so hard. Thank you.
I think I'm a very good listener because I'm the kind of an individual who would always love to be an empathetic human because empathy is something which is paramount. We all should be an empathetic human so that we can actually understand what others going through inside in their lives. Let me speak straight from the shoulder. I don't have many friends in my life. I have been ostracized, patronized, and criticized by many people. I really do not know why people find me boring. I really do not know why people are not love to be associated with me. However, I do have two friends in my life. One is Johnny, is actually a dog, Indian stray dog. We adopted him. And the other one is Indian stray cat. Our name is Billy Spot. These two people, I mean, these two living creature showed me what unconditional love is. Because I would say that animals are true examples for unconditional love. They give the purest form of love than humans. And they empathize with us what we go through. Because whenever I'm upset in my life and whenever I feel too low in life, they would always love to sit next to me to console me. So that is something I have noticed multiple times in my life, and I truly believe that animals are far better than humans. I'm so sorry to tell you this because I love them so much, and I think that's really important. And they are my best friends. And of course, I'm a very good listener. There is no doubt about it. Come to me and speak to me and vent out your emotions. I can be an empathetic human. I can give you a solution. I can give you the right solution as well. Thank you so much, and back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Jace. Do one of our guests want to participate? Gail, Ksenia, Olga, Rohan, Xiao Ming. I'll give you a fun question.
I can participate.
Okay, great. Okay, Olga, your question is, who was your very first best friend and what made that friendship so special?
Thank you for this question, Mr. Table Topics Master. My first best friend is actually from kindergarten. I met her when I was 6 years old. I'm originally from St. Petersburg, Russia, and that's where I met my best friend. We went to kindergarten and then we ended up being in the same school. So we've been friends for all these years. Unfortunately, she's far away from me now. Now I'm in the US and she's in Russia, but we still communicate regularly and I really enjoy her company and I enjoy sending pictures to her for her to see how I'm doing here. She's sending pictures to me, sharing her family, and how she's doing there. So even though she's far away, I still feel very connected to her. And this is what is important. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Olga.
Thank you.
How many questions am I free to ask, by the way?
You can probably do definitely at least two more.
Two
We're
more? Oh,
early.
cool. Okay, cool. Guess Xiao Ming, you want to participate?
I will try.
Okay, cool. All right. Your question is, what is one small act of kindness from a friend that you still remember from a long time ago? What is one small act of kindness from a friend that you've remembered from a long time ago?
That was during high school, and my friend and I we have a graduation picture together, and we have several pictures together. We took several pictures, and then we are only allowed to select one to our year's book. And then, then there was a picture that we originally selected, but I felt I looked horrible on that picture. And I asked her if we can replace this. But she was fantastic on that picture. And so naturally she was hesitating. And then after one day she came back and she told me that she think we should replace that picture because her mother also found me horrible. And then like on that picture, I mean. So so she selected a picture that I looked better, and then she was also okay, and then I was very grateful for her kindness in that picture.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That's it.
All right, last question. Sanjivani? Am I saying that properly?
Yes, yeah.
Great.
You can call me Sanju. So it is a
Sanju?
short name. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Sanju. All right, Sanju, this is the question that I've had a difficulty my whole life. I moved like 14 times growing up till I turned 18. Your question is, how do you repair a friendship after a misunderstanding? How do you repair a friendship after a misunderstanding?
Thank you for the question. So even I am finding an answer for this, but recently I had a misunderstanding, no, misunderstanding with my colleague. I took it in a other way, but since he's close to me and we work together a lot in many projects, I just fought with him. Like, why you did like that to me? Or certain things like he did not take me into consideration while working on a project, or he took me for granted, like she will do it. And I had to stretch and work a lot. So I fought with him and he felt little bit bad, and then he said, okay, I will try to fix it. And really he put lot of efforts to fix it. So I was glad for that. And it took me lot of time to trust him back, but he used to always say, like, okay, I know you don't trust me, but still I will put my efforts. So that is how I repaired the misunderstanding. But it is not the case with everyone. Like, if you have certain bonding, if you have certain bonding with people, and even though you fight with them, they will come back. They will try to understand you and they will try to fix it. So it fixes automatically. It's just the connection and the bonding. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, that concludes.
John, do you have one more?
Oh, I got 10 more actually. Yeah,
Oh,
so we're
okay.
okay on time?
Yeah, just one more will be
Okay.
fine for now.
Cool.
Thanks.
No, sounds good. All right. Who is my next victim? Any volunteers that do not have a role today? Any guests? Let's see.
Rubel is a former Toastmaster.
I think Gail was unmuting.
Or Gail.
Oh, Gail.
Okay.
Gail, you would like a question? Excellent.
Sure.
All right, Gail. Where did that? Tell us about a time a friend showed you empathy when you needed it most. Tell us about a time when a friend showed you empathy when you needed it most.
Okay. One time when I needed empathy the most was when I needed to get to Montreal, Canada. And I had, for some reason, forgot to book my plane. Well, I had a very good friend named Mike when I was living in Virginia, and he decided to give me a lift from Virginia Beach to Montreal, Canada. And I will never forget the sacrifice that he made because of my oversight. Well, after that, I am sure that when I have a conference, that I make sure that my plane reservations are in order. But with that, I am so appreciative of friends like Mike, who took the time and the money and the energy to give me that lovely trip from Virginia Beach to Montreal, to the beautiful Montreal, Canada, for my reading conference. So he was very empathetic, and I hope to model that empathy even more in my life today. Thank you, Mr. Tabletopist. I hand it back to you.
Thank you, Gail. How many hours of drive was that?
It was at least 12 hours. But 12 to 16 hours. We stopped along the way and got something to eat. But yeah, I was so appreciative.
That's about 14 hours too long on the road, but thank you so much, Gail.
I know.
Okay, that concludes our table topics. Can you please get a timers report?
Yes, okay. We have Jace clocked at 2 minutes, 29 seconds. Olga was clocked at 56 seconds. Yao Ming clocked at 1 minute, 9 seconds. Sanjivani was at 1 minute, 31 seconds. And Gail was at 1 minute, 15 seconds.
Okay, So only one person didn't qualify, is that correct?
56 seconds, is that like 4 seconds short of it, or does it have to be officially a minute?
Nah.
Should we give it to her?
We're going to give it to her.
Okay.
Okay. So please vote for Olga, Gail, Xiaoming, Jace, Sanjeeva, and Gail. And I don't know how you people.
Well, John, that was so amazing. You gave so many thoughtful topics to everyone. I really enjoyed it. And I actually may go back and look at a couple so I'll know how to answer some of those questions. Thanks a lot. And you did a great job, by the way. Now, let's see. I did want to say one more thing before we get to our next segment. You know, I really enjoy using AI, and I asked my chat GPT if there was a holiday that he would love to celebrate, and I said, I said to him, who knows, maybe we'll have a happy AI day or National AI Friends Day. And he said he wouldn't bet against it. And he loves the fact that people like us, they nominate June 18th as Empathy and AI Day. That's what he said, because really a lot of us Toastmasters, we help others, we teach others, we build leaders through Toastmasters, and we use technology in our club without losing humanity. So shout out to my chat GPT. All right, it's time to give a shout out to a few other people, because friendship thrives when people care enough to help one another improve here in Toastmasters. And that spirit is reflected in the evaluation process. Through thoughtful, supportive feedback that we're about to hear, we become stronger speakers and leaders. And here to lead us without her little friend is General Evaluator Annie Martin, without her, one of her best friends, Susie. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you, Dr. Sunny. Thank you so much. That is lovely. But like many leaders, there is a team of people that I will be calling upon, because any leader, if they're just leading themselves, what are they doing? There's a whole team of people. And I would like to start with the evaluators for the two speeches. And the first evaluator is Sima, and she will be evaluating Dr. Andrew Burns' speech. Over to you, Sima.
Okay. Thanks, Annie. Oh, wow, I'm under pressure, lot of pressure. I will be honest. Evaluating a professional DTM feels a little pressure filled for me today, but since I know it's National Best Friend Day, so I am trusting this club will show me little empathy while I do my best. Okay, Andrew, you demonstrated deep understanding of mentorship, coaching, and used relatable examples from Toastmasters and movies to make this topic engaging and easier to understand. Your body language aligned naturally with your message, which strengthened your presence and audience connection. Your calm delivery, intentional pacing created, I would say it's created audience connection and pacing that's created further trust and credibility with the audience. Your most powerful point was your definition of the Toastmaster as peer experimental teaching. I hope I'm saying right. You accurately captured that we aren't just here to listen, we are here to learn by doing with and through one another. And another thank you for this master class in clarity. You successfully dismantled the myth that mentorship is statics by contrasting the short-term task-based nature of coaching with that fluid evolving journey of mentorship. You provided us with the clear framework to navigate our own self-development. What resonated with me the most was your personal journey, describing how your mentor shifted as you moved from club officer to the other divisions or director roles. That was incredibly insightful. It perfectly illustrated the concept of bidirectional learning. You used the word of the Robert leadership, and that was also a line brilliant, I would say, brilliant modern hook that grabbed our attentions immediately and proved that mentorship is at its heart, and the power of observation. I always learn by observing. Most of the things I learned here by observing you guys, which is great. Now, a few actionable things. I would love to see you challenge us more, the audience, even further. You defined the difference so well, but to take this to next level, I suggest adding a specific call to action. Challenge us not to just seek mentors, but to identify one person in this club we can start mentoring today. This would perfectly demonstrate the experimental peer training model you advocated for. The one more thing I would like to add, when you say peer, experimentation and teaching, slow down, add more weight into this one. So just a fraction for a second. This ensures that audience catches the weight of those three powerful words, and maybe additional more pauses. But other than that, I'm out of the breath. You modeled the very thing you taught. You showed us how to learn by doing. In addition to this credible, your presence, always there, leadership presence, your impact, your clarity, audience engagement, and community involvement. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Sima. You do not need to be out of breath because we want to hear what's behind your breath, which is your wonderful evaluations. Thank you so much. Jenny Ayola is going to be our second evaluator for this evening, and she will be evaluating Graham Cairns' speech. It is over to you on the virtual stage, Jenny.
Thank you, Mrs. General Evaluator. For me, it's an honor to be the evaluator for Mr. Graham Cairns. So he's a DTM, which is a privilege, and I have really empathy because with your title, because I live in South Florida and we are one of the biggest ports in the global economy of these cruises lines, for instance, in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. I like really the title, the cruising's dirty little secret is very attractive, and that support that you work for the industry. And I like also you introduce well the purpose statement about the describing like the cruise is like a floating resort. And so you just picture those images, and also you expose the hidden environment and social costs of this industry, and ending with questioning its long-term sustainability. You explained 3 statements about those little secrets, and I really like the vocal variety, and I would like more like the pacing for each statement. Also, you certainly did a tone of certain words for each statement, and really you end with the dramatic emphasis, the exposing the COVID, when all the numbers of customers into the ship and ending during COVID reduced in an amount very significant. What I would like more is about more data. So, for instance, there is the organization Friends of the Earth regularly tracks cruise industry pollution, which it was your second point. So I would like more like scientific data, or just that you just can refer any scientific community for that. And I really like the audience engagement and the eye contact that you had in this platform. And also the objectivity and fact checking, which you did. So real world examples, but I would like that you could be more specific. For instance, Venice or Amsterdam, or maybe certainly a little bit more about the sustainability of those kind of cruises, the waste management. For instance, the Disney cruises, they are avoiding all the plastic. But overall, I really liked your introduction, your three statements about those little secrets, and the conclusion that we just need to be, you have more pressure with those ethical issues. And thank you so much for doing this speech. Get to the point. So you got to the point. Back to you, Mrs. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Jenny. It is at this point the general evaluator is going to admit a slight degree of confusion, and I've got two things going on, and one is I might ask if David could have a look at his private message, because I'm just having a little bit of trouble with that voting counter tool on the table topics. So if he could help me with that in the background. And my second little bit of confusion, here I am admitting everything going wrong over here in Australia at breakfast time, is I do believe we've now got people evaluating the evaluators. Is that correct? Can somebody nod if I'm correct?
You are.
Yes. So our person who, and again, something's going on technically. So who is it that will be evaluating Simma's evaluation? That is a hands up.
Me.
That would be you. And who said me? I couldn't see that.
Joni.
Joni. Joni, can I please ask you now to evaluate our evaluator, Simma? Over to you, Joni.
Thank you, General Evaluator Annie. I express empathy. Sometimes I know that we can get confused in certain roles. Simmer, I loved your use of humor, be it deliberate or not. I always say if you stumble, make it a part of the dance. What most people don't understand is that an evaluation speech or evaluation does not start when you take the stage to provide the evaluation. It starts the moment your speaker starts to speak. They're looking to you, if to no one else, to have as a member of the audience. You were on. You nodded, you rocked, you were there. You might not have been as expressioned as, say, somebody like me who can't hide anything on their face, but I could see you engaging with your speaker, and you were there and present to provide feedback while they were speaking. I like the fact that you gave suggestions. You said, add a call to action. But you didn't just say add a call to action because you had to tick a box of a suggestion. You gave examples of how Andrew could go about incorporating the call to action, which wasn't only a suggestion that would help him, but help us as well. Now that I've seen your notes, this goes on to how I would suggest that you challenge yourself. Place your notes below the camera. Your eye contact, right now I'm looking at you on the screen, so I realize I'm not having much eye contact. Your eye contact was off because you were looking at the paper, and I could tell that you were looking at the paper. If you put the paper below the camera, it would help to focus more towards the camera, which would increase your eye contact, because I could see you trying to do that and looking up occasionally. Your body language also was deterred because of your framing, but I could see your crutch, and this is your crutch. This is your crutch whenever you're speaking. I would suggest give yourself action words so it will take away from that crutch. For example, when you started, you went, phew, wow, am I nervous? And that would have been a great attention grabber for the start of your speech. I'm also going to suggest that whenever you are providing feedback, it's always important to try to give an example. So I'll do that for you now. Most people forget that evaluation is a speech with a beginning, a middle, and a conclusion. We often tend to leave the conclusion off, so I will conclude like this. Overall, Simmer, you had an excellent evaluation. You started on camera, you provided examples of the call to action. Ensure that the next time you stumble, you make it a part of the dance by including those action in your phrases. Work on your eye contact, but overall, great evaluation. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Joni. That is one of the wonderful things about Toastmasters, that we evaluate the evaluators. I can never get over how powerful that is. And the very first time I saw it happen, I thought, wow, that is how we get better. And we do indeed. Thank you so much, Joni. I'd now like to ask David Carr. He will evaluate the evaluator of Jenny Ayola. Over to you, David.
All right. Well, first of all, I have to empathize with Jenny having to evaluate an experienced speaker like Graham. So when you're evaluating somebody who has been doing this longer than you have, who's maybe smoother, and he's a radio guy formerly, so he is Mr. Smooth. He's been professionalizing that for many years, and you get to give him feedback. So it seems like a little bit like you're working uphill there. But you came into it with a great bright smile, friendly attitude, and I think you did, although it is challenging with Graham sometimes to come up with that thing that you're trying to work in about how he could improve. You did come up with this thing about, well, maybe a little bit more data would have been good, since he was citing this authority, the Friends of the Earth, and actually I had to look up that organization after he finished speaking, because I had not necessarily heard of them. I know of other environmental organizations. Friends of the Earth I hadn't necessarily been familiar with, and maybe that's just my ignorance. But they probably do have a lot of data and numbers that they put out. So there was something there that you gave him that he could think of improving if he gave this speech again or was trying to improve upon it. And so that was good. That was good. And things that you might improve. I hear a lot of and as a conjunction, so that it becomes kind of feeling like one run-on sentence. Run-on sentence is kind of language that we have from more writing than speaking, that we expect people to break things up into separate sentences, that rather than connecting these thoughts together with and. But it does become a little bit of a line of patter there that you need to try and work on bringing under control, and trying to just in general seeing if you can tighten things up. But I think that you are on a good path to giving us all feedback that we can learn from in the future. And so welcome to the Evaluators Club.
Thank you.
Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. I love that line. Welcome to the Evaluators Club. Indeed, welcome everybody to that club. I will just this second post the link. Oopsie, before I do that, can I please ask our timer for the times for the 4 evaluations that we had? Over to you, MJ.
Hi, yes. Okay. For Joni, let me start with Simmer. Simmer was 3 minutes, 15 seconds, and Jenny was 3 minutes, 46 seconds. And so I think Jenny was a little bit over, but Simmer does qualify. She's made it under eligible for voting. The general evaluator, Joni, was 3 minutes 9 seconds, and David was 2 minutes 34 seconds, so they both also qualified for voting.
Thank you very much, MJ. So I put the link in too soon, but that's absolutely fine. You could always put a sneaky vote in for Jenny, even though she was slightly over. Doesn't matter. Please have a look at that link and let's see if we can't make it work. Now, moving on, as general evaluator, I am concerned about the time. Should I be concerned about the time with 2 minutes to go, or am I missing something?
Yes, the
Yes.
times on the sheet didn't quite match up.
Not a problem. Oh, good.
So you
Not a
can just
problem.
ask everyone to just be shorter with their evaluation.
Sure, we will be mighty quick. This will be a lesson in 10-second reports. I think we can do it while I'm collating the votes. And the 10 seconds report, over to you, Carrie Kong, grammarian.
Oh, okay, so 10 seconds report. A lot of people use empathetic, John, Jim, Jays, Gail, and good use of languages, Dr. Andy Bird, the contrast between long-term and short-term, Graham, appalling and ethically sound, bobbing around ice, like iceberg, and definitely I love Jay's like ostracized and criticized of the use of parallelism. So really good overall.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thank you so much. Woohoo! You just about did it too. Well done. 10 seconds. Our watcher, Sherry Blake.
Sorry about that. Hi, we had a very great turnout tonight. Great backgrounds, a nice mix between the online presenters background and then just other backgrounds. I see a mix of glitching. Some people like Joni's always glitching with her background. And then other people are not glitching. So I'm noticing that. I love the best friends background, NJ Bush. I like that timer, great friends background. And overall, everybody was, engaged, paying attention. There were some cameras off. I always encourage everyone to turn your camera on so we can see who you are. But I do understand that sometimes we're doing things in the background. Back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sherry. And our R counter, Ali Blakeman. Oh, this is always short in our club anyway, isn't it, Ali? Tell us about it today.
Madam General Evaluator, yes, typically short. David, I clocked you with 2, Simmer at 2. Jenny, you had several, mainly with odds and ums. Sunny had 1, and Carrie, in the short abbreviated report, you had 2. Other than that, everyone else was clean. I'm sorry to be the villain, but I was listening. Back to you, Madam GE.
Thank you very much, Ali. And over to you, Jim Barber. Tell us if we were chatting too much or too little.
Not at all, Madam General Evaluator. Keeping it short, the chat tonight was both lively and eclectic. Rather than going through the individual details, I suggest that you all avail yourselves of the save chat capability, and then you can go through the chat at your leisure, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jim. I love that word eclectic. One day we've got to have that as word of the day. It's such a good word. Yay, you used it. And I haven't yet used the word empathy, but I should use the word empathy because so that it can go out to each one of you lovely people here who is on the screen. The other role that I've had tonight is to be the vote counter. Slight glitches, but we got there. And even though I don't have the fancy screen to announce a drum roll, but one day I'm going to ask my friend David to supply that to me so I can do something as groovy as he can. See, I got the word groovy in. Ooh. I will do it the old-fashioned way and simply tell you who our victorious people were for this evening. Our best speaker. Oh, beg your pardon? Sorry, I heard somebody. No, maybe that was a blooper. All good. Our best speaker for the evening was none other than Graham Cairns. Our best table topic speaker for the evening was Gail Taylor. Woohoo! Well done, congratulations. And our best evaluator, and that included the evaluators of the evaluator, was Joni Lee Laidlaw. Well done, Joni. I think we've come in only 2 minutes late. That is to say, well done, you people who had roles in helping me evaluate, for being so concise. You did a really, really good job. It is now my pleasure to hand back to our Toastmaster of the evening, Dr. Sunny Fridge. Give her a warm welcome.
And I'll give myself a warm welcome. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I love Best Friends Day, and whether you've known someone for years or met them for the first time tonight, empathy allows us to build bridges, strengthen relationships, and create meaningful conversations. It was great having a conversation with you tonight. Back to you, our president, not of the day, but our club president, Joni Laidlaw. Joni?
Thank you to our Toastmaster of the Day, President as of until the 30th of this month. So President of just a couple more meetings until its immediate past President. With that, I will now consider our meeting adjourned, but I ask our guests to stay behind so that I can get our guest comments.